design surface, instead of placing it in a data region such as table or chart, when you run this particular report, you will only see the first value from that field. Okay, so this is one thing to keep in mind. Now you can also drag built-in features from the report data pane to the report design surface. When rendered, these fields provide information about the report, such as report name, the total number of pages in the report, and the current page number. Some things are automatically added to the report data pane when you add something to the report design surface. For example, when you embed an image in your report, hi all, I welcome you to this session on Power BI Report Builders, and today we're going to learn how to create paginated reports using the same service. Before we begin, let's look at our agenda for today. So we're going to start out by learning a little bit about paginated reports and Power BI Report Builders, what they do, what is the purpose that they serve, so on and so forth. Then we'll open up our tool and get around in the report builder. We're going to learn about the various parts and panes of this report builder. We're going to learn about the data pane, the design surface. We're going to learn about the report status bar, so on and so forth. Then we are actually going to get into it and take a jump start, create a paginated report, get it ready to upload to the Power BI service. In this section, we are going to use an Azure sample database and create a matrix in the Power BI report builder with the help of a wizard. We're going to then format the report with title, page numbers, column headings, and currencies, and then we're going to learn how to run the report. Before we begin, I'd like to give you a heads up. Now, to use the Power BI report server, you might not need a premium or pro access, but to upload it to the Power BI service, you most definitely do need one. So keep that in mind while you go through this tutorial. Now let's start with paginated reports. And what are they? I assume some of you might have already used SQL Server reporting services. For them, paginated reports are not a new thing. For people for which this concept is new, these reports are called paginated reports because they are formatted to fit well on a page. They display all the data in a table, even if the table spans multiple pages, and hence given the name Pixel Perfect Reports, because you can control the report page layout exactly and precisely as you need it to be. Paginated reports are based on the RDL report technology in the SQL Server reporting services and can have many pages to begin with. Now, paginated reports have their own design tool, which is in fact known as the Power BI Report Builder, the tool we'll be working on today. It's a new tool that shares the same foundation as the tools you'd previously used to create the paginated reports if you have done so. In fact, for those of you who have used SSRS before, paginated reports that you created there in 2016 or 17 or in the Power BI report server on-premises services are all compatible with the Power BI service. Power BI service thankfully maintains backwards compatibility, so you can move your reports forward and then you can upgrade any previous version paginated reports. So Report Builder is your standalone tool for authoring paginated reports. Now, a single paginated report can have a number of data sources. It doesn't have an underlying data model unlike your Power BI reports. So for the initial release of paginated reports in Power BI service, you create embedded data sources and data sets inside the report itself. You create reports in Report Builder on your local system, and if a report connects to on-premises data after you upload the report to the service, you need to create a gateway and then redirect the data connection. All right. Now, there are a couple of different sources you can connect to as of May 2020, which are the Azure services, Azure SQL database and data warehouse via authentication, Azure analysis services via SSO, SQL Server via a gateway, SQL Server analysis services again via a gateway, Power BI datasets, Oracle, and Teradata. Now, through this exercise, you can design your report, which basically means create paginated reports with matrix, chart, and freeform layouts, add more to it by filtering, grouping, and sorting your data or adding formulae and expressions. You can create a report definition when you design a paginated report. You can view it via the Power BI service in a browser or the Power BI mobile apps. And finally, you can create a subscription to the same. Now, a couple of limitations and considerations that you have to understand. There are some features that aren't supported in this initial release. Firstly, pinning report pages or visuals to Power BI dashboards. I mean, you can still pin visualizations to the Power BI dashboard from an on-premises paginated report on a Power BI report server or reporting services, but you just can't do it on the service. Second, you cannot use document maps. Third, sub-reports and drill-through reports are also something you cannot do. You may consider using URL parameters with paginated reports to achieve the drill-through scenarios though. And one that I have mentioned before is that you can't use shared data sources and shared data sets. Hence, you have to create your own via embedding them in your report. So now that all of this is out of the way, let's go ahead and look at the different aspects in the report design view of paginated reports. Now, the report design view in the Power BI Report Builder is the design space for creating paginated reports, as the name suggests. You can publish it to the Power BI service, as I had mentioned before, and the design surface is at the center of the report builder with ribbons and panes around it. Now, the design surface is where you add and organize your report items. Now, basically, we're going to discuss in brief the panes you use to add, select, and organize your report sources and change report item properties. So first, you have your report data pane. Now, from the report data pane, you define the report data and the report resources that you need for a report before you design your report layout. For example, you can add data sources, data sets, calculated fields, report parameters, and images to your report data pane. After you add items to the report data pane, you can drag fields to the report items on the design surface to control where the data appears in the report. However, if you drag a field from the report data pane directly to the report design surface instead of placing it in a data region such as table or chart, when you run this particular report, you will only see the first value from that field. Okay, so this is one thing to keep in mind. Now, you can also drag built-in features from the report data pane to the report design surface. When rendered, these fields provide information about the report, such as report name, the total number of pages in the report, and the current page number. Some things are automatically added to the report data pane when you add something to the report design surface. For example, when you embed an image in your report, it will be added to the images folder in the report data pane. You can use the new button to add a new item to the report data pane, and not just one, you can add multiple data sets from the same data source or from different data sources to the report. Next, you have your report design surface. Now, this is basically your main work area for designing your reports. To place report items such as data regions, sub-reports, text boxes, images, rectangles, and lines in your report, you add them from the ribbon or the data part gallery to your design surface. There, you can add groups, expressions, parameters, filters, actions, visibility, and formatting to your report items. Now, the design surface size might be different from page size print area that you specify to print the report. Changing the size of the design surface will not change the print area of your report, no matter what size you set for the print area. The full design area size does not change, however, but you can definitely choose to display the ruler if you are in doubt. Next, you have the parameters pane. As the name suggests, with the report parameters, you can control the report data, connect related reports together, and vary report presentation. The parameter pane provides a flexible layout for the report parameters. Then you have the properties pane. Now, every item in your report, including data regions, images, text boxes, and the report body itself, has properties associated with it. For example, the border color property for a text box shows the color value of the text box's border, as the name suggests. And the page size property for the report shows the page size of a report. Again, pretty understandable. These properties are displayed in the properties pane. The properties in the pane change depending on the report item that you select. Now, in a report builder, you can change properties for the report items in several ways. You can do it by selecting buttons and lists on the ribbon. You can do it by changing settings within dialog boxes, as well as property values within the properties pane. The most commonly used properties, however, are available in the dialog boxes and on the ribbon. By default, the properties displayed in the properties pane are organized into broad categories such as action, border, fill, font, and general, each category with a separate set of properties associated with it. Next, you have the grouping pane. Now, groups are used to organize your report data into a visual hierarchy and to calculate totals. You can view the row and column groups within a data region on the design surface and also in the grouping pane. Now, the grouping pane has two panes, one representing row groups and the other representing column groups. When you select a data region, the grouping pane displays all the groups within that data region as a hierarchical list. Child groups appear intended under their parent groups. Now you can go ahead and create your groups by dragging fields from the report data pane and dropping them on the design surface. In this pane, you can add parent, adjacent, and child groups, change group properties, as well as delete groups. Even if the grouping pane is displayed by default, you can definitely clear it by unchecking the box on the View tab. I hope with this section, you're clear with all the different ribbons and panes in the design space. With that, let's move on to the real deal. Let's go on to our tool and create our paginated report. Now, upon selecting to open your Power BI report builder, you shall be faced with something like so. You will have a dialog box called Getting Started, which shows at startup. I'm going to close this and I'm going to full screen the report builder. This is what your report builder looks like. Here's your design space with all the different panes and ribbons around it. Yes. Now in this tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to connect to a sample Azure SQL database, and then we're going to use a wizard in the report builder to create paginated reports with a table that wraps to multiple pages. So again, your steps to this demo is to use an Azure sample database, create a matrix in the Power BI report builder with the help of a wizard, format the report with title, page numbers, and column headings on each page, format currency. If you don't have an Azure subscription, you can definitely go ahead and create a free account before you begin. Now, as I had given you guys a heads up before, you definitely need a Power BI report builder from the Microsoft Download Center. You need to also have created an Azure SQL database sample in the Azure portal. You will be needing the name and password you created. You will also need a Power BI Pro license. You need a workspace on the service in a premium capacity. Now, if you have a premium capacity, it would have like a diamond-like icon in the workspace next to it. So let's go ahead and create a matrix with a wizard. If we go to File and then click on New, again, this dialog box appears that we had closed out before. If you're using the dialog box that appears automatically once you turn it on, make sure that your new report option is selected on that dialog box. For me, I've opened it through File and the new report option. So this is the only one option that I'm getting. But apart from this, if you use the startup dialog box, you will also be getting options such as new dataset, open, and recent. So be careful of this. So on the right, you have options such as table or matrix wizard, chart wizard, map wizard, and blank report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on table or matrix wizard. Here I will be prompted with this dialog box, and here I'm going to go ahead and choose a data set. Okay. In the choose a dataset page, this wizard that appears, select create a dataset. For most of you, this will be automatically selected. Then go ahead and click on next. You'll be prompted to choose a connection to a data source, a page like this. Here we are going to click on new because we are going to use a new data source. And on clicking that, a dialog box which says data source properties is going to open up right in front of you. You can name a data source anything you want, use characters and underscores. For the purposes of this tutorial, I am going to call it my Azure data source because I am going to be using an Azure data source. In the connection type, I'm going to go down the list and select the Microsoft Azure SQL database. And next to the connection string box, I'm going to go ahead and click on build. Now this is going to lead to another dialog box called connection properties. Now for the server name, I'll be going back to my Azure portal where I have created an SQL Server database beforehand. So on the SQL databases page, this is the name of my sample database. I'm going to click on it. And here it's going to show me all the details that I need. If I go a little to the right, you have your server name, which let's just copy and paste here. You can copy to clipboard and then paste. Make sure it ends with a .database.windows.net. In the logon to the server section, instead of use the Windows authentication, we are going to be using our SQL Server authentication. So my login is Azure user. I'm going to go ahead and type a password. And in the next section, to connect to a database. Now under connect to database, select the drop down arrow and select the database name you have created in Azure. In my case, it's the my sample database. Then we're going to go ahead and test connection. The test results would come fairly quickly. And as you can see, the test connection is succeeded. For you, you will also see the test results message every time. Then we're going to select OK. And again, we're going to go ahead, even in the connection properties, we're going to select OK. Now, in the connection string box, the report builder displays a second line, which you might have noticed did not exist before. This is basically the connection string you just created. We're going to go ahead and click on OK. Now, we're back to the choose a connection to the data source page. And now you have a data source connection in your data source connections box, which is your My Azure data source. And in this report button under the data source connection you just created, we're going to select the data source, which is already selected in my case, and then click on next. Here we are going to be met with a design a query page. If this does not come directly to you, you'll probably be met with a prompt where you'll have to type in the same Azure username and password. But since I'm already connected and logged in my Azure portal, as you guys just saw, now you'll be met with a design a query page. What we're going to do is we're going to expand this sales LT section and then the table section. And you'll have a bunch of different tables called address, customer address, product, category, description, model, so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and select a couple tables. We're going to select address, customer, product, and the last two. Now pay attention here in this line. Because auto detect is selected in case of our relationships, the report builder detects the relationships between these tables automatically. We're going to go ahead and select run query, and then our report builder displays to us the query results. Yeah, all the columns, and this is all the rows. Once we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and click next. Now this will directly lead you to the arrange fields page. For those of you who have older versions, you might be led to a choose a dataset page where you can go ahead and choose the dataset that you're working with and click on next. For those of you with the latest version as of May 2020, you will directly be met with this arrange fields page. What we're going to do is drag certain fields from the available fields box to the row groups box and the value box. So I'm going to drag company name. Also going to get the sales order number as well as product name. Let's get this also. Now again, from the availables field, we're going to pick three more things to put in our values box. So order quantity. As you drag order quantity into the values box, you know what this logo means, right? It's a calculated field. So it's going to sum your order quantity automatically. We're going to put unit price as well as line total. All right. On clicking next, you'll get a choose the layout page. Here, what you're going to do is keep all the default settings, but clear the expand and collapse groups. In general, the expand or collapse groups feature is great, but just for the sole purpose of this exercise, you want the table to wrap to multiple pages. So we're going to go ahead and uncheck this. We're going to then go ahead and click next. It shows us a preview of what we've created, and then again we're going to finish so our table is displayed on the design surface. Alright, so now let's pause for a moment and look at the results of the wizard. This is a little insight into what you have created as of now. Let's first go step by step and look at all the features that we had looked at previously. First, the report data pane. If I expand the dataset here, you see the embedded Azure data source and the embedded dataset based on it, right? Both of which you have created. The design surface is about 6 inches wide, and on the design surface, you see the matrix displaying the column headings and the placeholder values. Yes, the matrix has 6 columns and appears to be only 5 rows tall. Again, here you see the order quantity, unit price, and line total are all in sums by default, and each row has a subtotal again by default. You still don't see actual data values. You need to run the report to see them. Now we go to view and check our properties pane. We get our properties pane on the right. In the properties pane, the selected matrix of yours is called Tablix 1 or Tabli 1. Now, a Tabli or a Tablix in the report builder is a data region that displays data in rows and columns. It can either be your tables or matrices, whatever. All right. Now, the grouping pane is in the bottom, as I had mentioned before. It has your row groups and column groups. And here you will see 3 row groups that you created in the wizard. You have your company name, sales order name, and product name, which we just did. The matrix doesn't have any column groups because we didn't create any. Next, what we're going to do is run the report. To see the actual values, you need to run the report. So we're going to go to the home ribbon or the home toolbar and then select run. Now, as you see, the page has changed and it'll take a few moments to load. Kindly be patient, and voila, you see the values. The matrix has many more rows than you saw in the design view, right? Note that here on top, report builder says it's page 1 of 2. Now the report builder loads the report as quickly as possible, so it retrieves enough data for a few pages at a time. The question mark at the end of this 2 indicates that the report builder hasn't loaded all the data yet. We can go ahead and click on print layout, and then your report will be in this format when you print it. The report builder now knows that the report has 29 pages and has automatically added a date and timestamp as well. So now you have a report with a matrix that wraps to 29 pages. Let's add some features and improve how it looks. So you can run the report after every step if you want to see how it's coming along. Yes? Now for that, on the Run tab, you see this design option. We're going to click on that so we can continue modifying it. First, we're going to go ahead and set page width. Typically, a paginated report is formatted for printing, and a typical page is 8.5 by 11 inches. So I'm going to drag it out. So you can go ahead and drag your ruler to make your design surface a desirable size. The default margins are 1 inch on each side, so the side margins need to be narrower. So we're going to go to report properties. I'm going to expand margins. I'm going to change the left and right margin to like 1.9 just for the sake of this. I'm actually pretty satisfied with the 2 centimeter gap. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and add a report title. So here it already gives us the option called click to add title at the top of the page. Let's name it sales by company. Also going to centerline it. On the right, you can see the alignment, font, general lists, so on and so forth. Once you've selected your title text, under font in the color, let's change this to blue. All right. Actually, I quite like the black, so let's just keep it black. much better. Then we can go ahead and add a page number. Now you notice that the report has a date and time stamp in the footer. You can also add a page number to the footer. So at the bottom of the design surface, you will see something known as execution time. Yes, this is on the right at the bottom. Now in the reports data pane, let's go up and expand the built-in fields folder. We're going to take page number. We're going to drag this to the left side of the footer. Yeah. So I've put it at the same height of this execution time bracket thing. I'm going to drag it out to make a square. Then I'm going to go to the Insert tab and select a text box. I don't know why I couldn't see it. It's right in front of me. And as it appears, click to the right and type I'm going to bring this also type off. And then I'm going to go back to the report data pane and drag the overall total pages. And also make it square. So it'll basically show the page numbers in a current page number of total page numbers format. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and make our table wider. So now you can make your matrix wide enough to fill in the width of the page and make the text columns wider so the names don't scroll as much. So I'm going to select the matrix, select the company name column, and open it wide. And I'd do the same for the product name. I'm just going to expand it enough so the name shows completely. Now your matrix is almost as wide as the print area. Now all that we are left with is to change the currency and add column headers on each page. So to format the currency, we're going to select the upper left, the cell, hold down the shift key and select till here. Okay. We're going to go to the home tab and select the $sign. Then we're going to click on this little arrow next to the placeholder styles and select sample values. So now you can see that the values are formatted as a currency. Yes. Now finally, we are going to go ahead and add columns on each page. So one more formatting improvement before publishing the report to the service is to make column headers show up on each page in the report. So in the far right top bar of the grouping pane, select advanced mode, select the top static bar in the row groups, and you will see that the company name cell matrix is selected. Now we go to our properties pane. So here we're going to select our keep with group and set it to after and repeat on new page to true. It's time, guys, now to run the report and see how it looks. Go back to the home ribbon and select run. This is going to take some time. All right. Then we're going to go select print layout. Okay, so this is our print layout. Here you can see your currency is formatted, your columns have headings on every single page. Let's go to the next page. So my line total has actually come to the next page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to design, select this and bring it in. Make a few changes. All right, let's run this. Voila, our line total comes on the same page. And here on our last page, you have your totals. So now you see your currency is formatted for every page, and the report has a footer where there is your page numbers written. I should have aligned it better, but we work with what we've got. You have a date and timestamp on your page for every page.
Here in the bottom, you see you have your footer, you have the date and timestamp. Now you can go ahead and save this to your computer. So now that you created your paginated report, you're all set to upload it to the Power BI service. All you have to do is go to your Power BI app to your workspaces. You select the arrow next to the advanced and turn on dedicated capacity. Now, if you cannot turn it on, you need to ask your Power BI admin to give you the permission to add the workspace to the dedicated premium capacity. Choose an available dedicated capacity for this workspace if necessary, and then save. If your workspace isn't a premium capacity, alas, then you cannot upload your report. You will get the message unable to upload paginated report. Then you can go ahead and contact your Power BI admin to move the workspace. If you do successfully upload these paginated reports in your new workspace, you can simply go to Get Data and navigate to where you've saved the file and open the file. Power BI will import your particular file and you see it under your reports on the app list page. You can then go ahead and select your report to view it, and that is how you can view your paginated report in the Power BI service. Now, concluding, all I'd like to say is there are many great sources for designing reports upon, and you can use the report builder and report designer or the SQL Server data tools to do the same. For more knowledge, you can read our blogs or you can go to the Power BI documentation where everything that I did today is given in a very well explained format. This report builder tutorial is a good place to start for people who are just beginning to create paginated reports. You can store and manage these reports in your report server web portal just as you can with your SSRS web portal. You can create, edit them, design them, and publish them to either web portal to your will. And your readers of your organization can then view them in a browser or in an mobile app from a mobile device from any corner of the world and interact with your creations. I hope you've had fun learning about how to use the report builder and how to create paginated reports. With that, I shall close this session. My name is Upasana. Thank you and have a great day.